haven't got it yet. Oh.
Three,
Three,
two,
two,
one.
one. Go.
Adventures of a Little Girl with Big Ideas continues with Chapter 5, Birthday Gift to Myself. How many years does one have to wait for their birthday wish to be present? Present. Get it? Present. Mulling over possible responses to that question brings popular cliche phrases to mind. Instant gratification versus good things are worth waiting for. There is only the present. Or be appreciative of some prayers unanswered. Disappointed waiting for the 13th birthday present of a bicycle that I'd been praying to receive for years, I resolved to give myself the gift I most wanted, and I was determined to venture farther than any bicycle could ever travel. What made me feel I could venture so far from home? My early teen years presented the obvious challenges blocking desire for travel adventures, with the few and tame exceptions of family vacations and school excursions. The latter were enjoyable, but more about that later. Make a wish, then blow out your candles, we were told. Don't tell anyone your wish or it won't come true. My parents did not tell me no because I had not told anyone my wish. Patiently, I kept this secret within myself. Little steps along the way felt like progress. Just as in fairy tales, I believed wishes come true magically if we don't ask how. The tale of the shoemaker and the elves loomed large in my young imagination of the ways of the world beyond my understanding. So that's how I balance my checkbook. I don't balance it. I just expect the elves to take care of it. Granted, the desire to travel was inspired by the Grimm's fairy tales and adventures of explorers in far-off lands. A school trip to the Vanderbilt's large estate turned into a museum exhibiting the late owner's collections from his extensive world travels on his luxurious yacht further sparked my desire to see these places. Also, there was Wonder Woman, a comic book female who did not ask. She knew she was powerful. An unexpected gift for my 13th birthday reflects the expectation for a woman's life following American society's expectations during the post-war 1950s. It was a journal. This was a gift to me on my 13th birthday from a distant relative of my father's. It was a journal with printed questions targeted at someone entering their teen years. Admit that on that birthday, it was not a favorite gift, but it did set me planning ahead. 7 blank lines appeared on a full page under the heading, Your Life's Goals. Disciplined in school to fill in all the answers, I proceeded to write 7 goals in chronological sequence. College student, teacher, followed in quick succession by wife, mother, and grandmother. 5 goals recorded. Creatively, to fill in all the spaces, I added volunteer to make the world a better place. And finally, in the last blank line, I wrote my wished for life beyond this one, angel. Interestingly, traveler does not appear among my goals. Yet, I remained determined to travel further than any bicycle could take me. But at that point, I focused on the trip to live away from home while studying at college. College represented my very first opportunity to venture forth and live on my own. Well, away from my parents anyway. Colleges functioned at that time as in loco parentis, meaning they were like your parents away from home. Pursuant to my pattern of becoming criteria oriented, I marvel at the priority that trumped my college choice. Of course, it was more practical, as I describe at a later chapter about jumping into a heated pool. Yet it is true. A heated swimming pool tipped the scales for me into choosing a college in the journey to my first travel destination. Buoyed by the confidence my parents had in me, 16 years old, I traveled by bus for 8 hours alone to visit the only college of my choice, to visit it for a day, my early application papers in hand. My arrival was anticipated. A current student would greet me, and the next day I had an appointment with the dean of students. Please recall, my dad drove the 90 minutes from the mid-Long Island home we had into the New York City bus terminal, and my mom and dad sent me off by myself, age 16, to arrive 8 hours later at dusk to my first and only college choice. The ride was long and winding through the Catskill Mountains into the Finger Lakes region to the State University of New York, SUNY at Cortland. More about these initial little travel adventures later. I was accepted on the spot in my initial meeting with the Dean of Students, thus securing the key to my travel plans a year in advance. Smug in having already resolved the angst faced by my senior classmates, unheeding the advice of myself unheeding the advice of my teachers, urging me to apply to more prestigious colleges, it was not until a year or more later that I began to think I had made the wrong choice.
Is that it?
Yes, but this is Tributary
I like
5.
the cliffhangers.
Yay, cliffhanger.
Excellent.
Okay,
So
this is goes with chapter 5. I don't know why. It's just 2 pages. I have an extra on chapter 5. You want it?
Yeah.
All right, can we record it then?
Yeah, we're still recording.
Okay, this is Tributary Chapter 5, Little Girl with Big Ideas. By the time I graduated high school, I had this below my photo in our yearbook. Talk, 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 and little girl with big ideas. I must acknowledge both are true, yet I far prefer the little girl with big ideas identity to the chatterbox image. Nonetheless, I turned the first talk, talk, talk to my favor. I used that characteristic to learn other languages. Just as talking came naturally to me, practicing speaking in other languages was a joy to me, and still is. Note that while my high school friends said I had big ideas, they also said I was little and a girl. How little was I? I was the smallest in height of anyone in my family and the shortest among most everyone in high school. My dad was 6 feet tall, my grandfather too. My uncles were even taller at 6'2", and most of my male cousins were an astonishing 6'4". My mom was 5'6", and my aunts were similarly taller at 5'8", with the shortest 5'4". At 5 feet tall, I did not even reach the ideal of the oldie favorite song, 5'2", eyes of blue, has anybody seen my gal? My younger sister, more athletic, a cheerleader, and without a doubt the most popular girl in high school, was 5'2". But in most everyone's eyes, her stature was even taller. My height was praised in my favorite musical, South Pacific, in the song Honey Bun, with the lyrics, I'm speaking of my sweetie pie, only 60 inches high. Every inch is packed with dynamite. Okay, so my weight was a little higher, but I could pack my life with more dynamite. In that musical, as much as I admired the quiet charm and beauty of the young lieutenant's Polynesian sweetheart, especially as he serenaded her singing, "Younger than springtime are my," I never found it possible to be me and be quiet too. My shortness, my shortness not only attracted teasing, it also stirred questions within me. I still recall asking my mom one evening as we were finishing dinner in the kitchenette with knotty pine paneling, was I adopted? Would it make any difference? She asked me. I thought a moment, considering the implications. No, I replied, speaking honestly. It was no family secret that my grandparents, Max and Celine Grimm, who then had two young daughters and a son on the way, had taken in Florence their 2-year-old red-headed niece to raise upon her mother's untimely demise, which was caused by a mechanical dumbwaiter accidentally dropping down onto her head, killing her. Florence's father, of course, needed to work, and so he asked his brother Max to take care of his only child, who was the same age as my mother. My grandparents went on to have 6 more children, thus raising 9 in all. This is before they knew what to do, and it was a very romantic marriage. Anyway, photos and stories of their lives are told in my memory books written from my mother's 85th, and my Aunt Gladys's 90th birthdays, and names appear at the end of this memoir. No, answered my mother, you were not adopted, but it would not have made any difference anyway. I appreciated her honesty and her attitude. She loved children, and in many ways, as the second oldest in a family of 8 siblings, 8 children plus her adopted sister, she was a loving, generous, and protective little mother to them. She was also playfully clever at creating trouble among this brood. It took about 50 years for the family to finally figure out who was the pot stirrer instigating sibling fights, because she alone seemed able to be on friendly terms with everyone, all sides, even among those no longer speaking to one another for months or years. My mother was a role model to me, not only for her more loving ways, but for ways not to be as well. I aspired to be like my dad, but as a female, my options were limited. What were the possibilities for a girl entering the 1960s? Marriage and raising children was the goal, with the careers of secretary, nurse, and teacher on the limited list. A new career was emerging, stewardess, then the glamour job of waitress in the sky. The grim fairy tales and the songs of faraway places widened my imaginary world and created in the mind of this little girl very big ideas. So how does a little girl with big ideas make them happen, especially at a time and in a world that propels women into marriage and promotes having children? I like imagining ideas, big ones.
Okay.
Hooray.
Is the
Hooray.
recording stopped?
Yep. Oh,
Nope. Still recording.
wait,
Okay,
okay.
ready to stop. That was excellent. That was the end of chapter 5.
Well, I guess I have to renumber the chapters because that was that was 2 pages of chapter 5, but it says tributary 5. So that means, I don't know, because there was another 5. I've got to coordinate that. The other 5 was had 2.5, two. Yeah, it was also 2 pages.
You wanna
Okay,
still be
we're gonna
recording?
stop recording.
Okay.